Hello, everyone. We're going to talk about racing pigeons today. I know it's a big part of the hobby. I got Chris here with me, and Chris, how many racers do you have right now flying around?
Uh, Currently, I have 10. That's it.
Okay. Any bloodline with big names in there, or you just got some regular old racers?
Uh, so I don't have anything with a big name,
Okay.
but the ones that I do have, well, let me clarify. So a lot of my stock is from Federation raised birds,
All right.
um, and the line that I first started out with that was gifted to me. The gentleman was kind enough to share race sheets with me. Um,
Oh,
in the with a race with homers with racing homers, the results are more important to me than the color.
I
Uh,
got you. Yeah.
that's so the names. I had a Muleman squeaker one time,
Okay.
the my red one, and unfortunately, the last release I did, he didn't come home.
Hmm.
And that was kind of sad. It was a beautiful little pigeon, and it flew good, flew real good. But
Is that red one?
yeah, beautiful red
Uh,
one. It was a shame to lose him. Um, he had done everything a good racing pigeon should do, and I was kind of sad about that when he went away. I lost a few of them on that trip, and which is something that happens unfortunately sometimes. I don't know exactly what happened, but
there's so many variables when those birds turn loose. You can do everything you can, prepping the birds, checking the skies before you let them loose, everything, weather.
yeah,
But there's a lot of things, and I'd say one of the biggest ones, especially if you're covering any kind of distances, birds of prey are everywhere right now, and we, man, we could talk just about that sometime, but it is a problem. It's a real problem. These are by their nature they'd migrate and move on to different places, but um, I know, especially in more populated settings, that they have so much of a feed source all the time that a lot of guys have a hard time even training their birds, even if they're flying rollers and stuff like that, just around their loft. So if you're driving miles out and cutting birds loose, between that spot and their loft, even if they don't get, hit by that bird and they get, you can drive them in all different directions until they kind of get their bearings back.
yeah, that's what I've experienced. I haven't lost one to a bird of prey that I'm aware of.
Hmm.
I've never seen it happen, but I have had scatters where they just,
Yeah.
yeah, especially in my rollers, because a roller doesn't fly like a regular bird. It's not that it rolls, but it goes around in circles in the same spot all day.
Hmm.
It's like waving a big flag for them guys.
Yeah.
It's
And
very
and
different.
I'll say I noticed my son flies the Birmingham rollers, and so when he would get out of school, he would fly them right after right when we got home. And I noticed that we would get more birds of prey, like at 4:30, 5 o'clock. It's like they knew at that time that there would be birds up in the air.
Oh yeah,
And so we tried to break it up a little bit. And while he's at school, I might kick him out, and fly him in the middle of the day, or sometimes he'll fly him in the morning, just to try to break up the routine a little bit. We don't really have. I'm up in northern AZ, and we don't really have too much birds of prey because we got ravens. We got these big ravens, and man, they bully those birds of prey. They get all over them when they come flying around out here. And the ravens I've never had problems with. They're more like how you say, like a big brother. Like they'll see a kit flying and they might change direction just to kind of fly by the kit and get them to freak out a little bit, and then they just keep on moving. They don't. I've never seen them attack or anything like that. I think they just kind of like flexing a little bit on them.
they like they like to hassle them a little bit, but they'll be
Mhm.
they'll be more apt to steal the eggs than they would anything else.
Yeah, I've heard that. I've heard that the ravens are pretty good about going after the eggs, and I haven't had that big of an issue with that at all.
They took. They used to take when I had the turtles. They took a bunch of the eggs. That was kind of devastating. But
wow.
They'll take a baby too. They'll take the squabs out of the nest.
Yeah. See, there's no access. I mean, I guess if those ravens trap in, then I got a raven. But
well, they're smart enough. They can figure it out.
Yeah, I've heard some cool stuff about how smart those ravens really are.
Oh yeah.
I think it's
a bird you want around to keep the hawks away for sure.
Yeah, because they are the bosses up here. I mean, they'll go after red tails and everything. I mean, they push them all off, which I appreciate that.
Right. I saw a deal where it said that a raven, and I mean it's not really off topic, kind of, but whatever. Where they said a raven or a crow is the only thing that bothers an eagle, and the only way an eagle can get him off his back, because they'll hitch a ride on their back and peck the hell out of him.
Oh wow.
Yeah, and so the only way you can get him off his back is to fly so high that the other bird can't breathe.
Wow, that's pretty extreme.
Yeah, well, I wonder how long it took eagles to figure out that they had to go up 40,000 feet to get rid of a crow.
Right. Yeah. And hand that information down.
Right.
So you're not? You don't belong to any of the race clubs in that area, do you?
No. So I'm pretty remote. Not really remote, but I am. I'm in the northeast corner of one county, and I'm in the northeast corner of both counties.
Okay.
So basically, I'm so far off the line of flight that it's not. I could lose birds just because they overfly into somebody else's. If they're flocked together, I'm in the wrong direction.
Yeah. Well, I know you also need to live within a certain, vicinity of a particular race club.
Right.
Because I've called some of the different race clubs down in, I think there's 2 or 3 down in Phoenix, pretty big ones. And, I've called down there, and, you got to be within so many miles of this major intersection. And, I got a neighbor he's about 15 miles away, but he has racers, and he was even talking about starting an ARPU club up here. But I mean, if you kind of look at where things have been going, I mean, I'm not even going to say it. Like, I'll just ask you, where do you think pigeon racing is really going towards? What direction?
They're all going to be made in China.
Yeah, yep, that's right. You're going to look on the bottom of a pigeon, and you're going to see that famous stamp.
That's right. So they're all going to be made in China. That's no kidding. They are buying every single winning one loft race pigeon there is right now.
Yeah, and that's it right there. It's the one loft. I mean, that's the one loft is taken over. Yep. The club racing is just. Plus, it's super expensive to club race. I mean, you're talking. I mean, like most state club breeds or specialty club breeds, dues are like $10 to $15 a year. Man, look at what it costs to be in a race club. It's expensive, and then you're buying a clock. And don't get me wrong, like, I think it would be really cool if there was a race club up here. But now with the electronic, you got that little pad that they land on. Yeah, it's gotten really expensive, and also, yeah, one loft racing is also expensive sometimes, depending on what you're getting into. But there are some realistic one loft races where you could put a few birds into, and it's not going to break your bank. And even if you place down to isn't it like 20th or 30th place? Like, you're still getting paid out on some of those?
Usually it's like 30th. And then sometimes there's even a percentage where it'll pay your perch fees or something like that. If you hit in a certain percentile, there's a lot of variables. Yeah. And I think that's all stuff that's built that the one loft managers are trying to promote it and keep it attractive, which... Yeah. That's one thing is you got to keep it attractive.
Right.
A lot of the reason why I haven't gotten into the club racing, it's that well. So the direction of where I'm at is one thing, but I could, there's nothing saying that I couldn't be involved just to be involved in the sport. But the clocks are expensive. Everything's super expensive, and I can get so many more. There's so much more not reward. I mean, money wise, we're talking money. We're racing for money.
Right.
It's so much different. All I have to do is breed birds, breed good birds, and send them out to the one loft races, right?
Right.
Versus me having to breed a whole team, raise the team, vaccinate the team, all that stuff, and keep them. I got to keep them alive all year. I got to train them all, and that's a considerable amount of driving. You're learning that right now.
Yeah. Well, I've been kind of like, so kids started going back to school like a week ago, and what I've been doing now is I crate the birds up in the morning. Like this morning, I was driving, and I'm still training a young bird team, so I'm not doing like dramatic distances right now.
Right.
So when I was first starting, I would crate them, I'd put them on my 4-wheeler, and I would just go, because I got a lot of dirt roads out here, so I'd just go down a dirt road in all the 4 directions and do half mile, 1 mile. But I'm at about 5 miles now. So now on the drive into school, my odometer's at about 5 miles. I pull off the side of the road, drop the tailgate, let one of the kids open it up and let the birds fly, and then close it back up and take them to the bus stop.
Yes.
So the driving aspect has been okay, and I live in the middle of nowhere, so everywhere I go, it's a heck of a drive. So as long as I got my birds ready to go, I can just take them with me and let them out. They did pretty good. My flight team is small, but I've really taken my time with, and a lot of guys were giving me guff about it. That I should have started off really far and just whatever didn't make it. But I don't got 30 birds to work with.
I think that's a machismo thing myself.
Yeah, I mean that's the Spartan way to do it, man. I mean, I sent 30 birds out, but the 2 I got back, man, hey, these are some badass birds right here.
These are awesome.
Yeah, and now I'm flying 2 birds, so I'm flying 8 birds, I think right now is what it is. It's not that many, but they're all come back home, and they're coming home quick, and I'm not, I'm in no wicked rush to get them at these big distances. This is totally an enjoyment thing for me.
Right. Yeah, that's what's up though. At least you're getting to fly them. Unfortunately, I'm guilty. I haven't been flying as much as I would like. And the whole reason I'm flying racing pigeons is because I hope to get to develop birds that are good enough for one loft racing.
Right.
I'm not actively racing. I'm breeding right now.
Yeah.
And I'm training birds, so I can see, kind of get a good handle on what type of pigeons I have in my loft. Now I've got base sheets on them, or on my, especially my blue birds. The off-color birds, I don't have any documentation on them, but the man showed me, what he's got and that kind of stuff, and I didn't. They were gifted to me. So, when you get these one loft race birds back, they can't be homed. They've got to be kept as prisoners.
Yep, they're breeders.
And that was a hard concept for me to start.
Same here. Yeah, same here.
I was like, man, I can't fly these birds. There's no chance, like, for real. And they're like, yeah, if you turn them loose, they're gonna come back here. That was so. The guy I got the first set of birds from, he kind of mentored me a little bit, and he's more practical. He's very practical. He's not a super. It's not all super strict. He does what works, and he does what has, been effective.
Yeah.
But he talked me through a lot of stuff. When I lost my first bird, I was pretty bummed out, that kind of stuff. But
Yeah.
he's been up there in the numbers and the races and stuff. So I'm hoping that I can raise the birds as good as he can.
Yeah.
Because I've got the bloodline. I
Right.
just need, it's there. I just need to work with them now. That's where the husbandry and everything comes in. I think that's one thing
that plays a big part. Yeah.
Yeah, that's one thing that sets any farm apart, and any animal. The husbandry. I don't care what kind of bloodlines you got. If you can't feed them, they'll look. You get two different birds out of two farms with the same bloodline.
Yeah. Yeah. So I think it's like half of my team was given to me by a racer guy out of Phoenix, real nice guy. He gave me these, and these came from a winner from a loft race in Atlanta. I don't know what loft that is, what race that is, but it did really good. And I mean, I do believe in bloodlines, but I mean, obviously, a champion that wins and wins and wins, that's more important to me personally. And I know that's kind of like the bloodline versus the results. Are you breeding champions, breeding bloodlines together, and getting these scions and stuff like this.
I think what's more important than a win is a record of success. And success doesn't, it does mean that you're winning. Mm-hmm. But I think as luck would have it, anybody could go in there and with some smoking hot birds and find get lucky. But a record of success, I think, is more important than $1 million win.
Yeah, a one-off. Yeah, you got to have that consistency too.
Right. There's too many variables. But if you can stay consistent with those variables, in play, I think that's also a good. I look for that more than a bird that's, won at the Pattaya or something.
Yeah. Yeah. The Yeah, go on.
No, you're good.
I was gonna say one of the really interesting things to me is, the whole idea about they don't even know, no one can agree on why these birds do what they do. I mean, like not having a big flight team, and I'm like 5 miles away from the home, and I'm like, okay, just open it up, man. You talk about like a leap of faith, man. That's what I feel like, because I love my birds, but I feel like, lose them or nothing, but it's really wild that they don't know how it works. But I think about like how they use the pigeons.
Exciting. It's exciting.
Is. Yeah, and I love waiting for them to come home. Like I'll like the other day I did one, and my son was home, and I texted my wife, and I was like, hey, tell the boy to go outside. The birds are in the air right now, so I want to know which one is coming home first. And it's exciting to watch him come home. And when I would kind of first push him out, I could beat him home, but especially when I was on my quad and stuff, it was a pretty close race. I'd look up and they'd be right above me sometimes. It was pretty cool. But I'm always so curious about how during the wars, how did they do that with the mobile lofts? Because I've read about it a little bit, and I know with like roller guys, I've seen roller mobile lofts, but I mean, we're talking homing pigeons, we're talking racers that they'd move the front forward in these mobile lofts on those old trucks, and I've heard that they put big copper plates underneath of them, and I'm always just so curious about how they got those pigeons to come back lofts instead of just. And I know they also had permanent lofts that they would return to also, but on the front, those were totally mobile. Those were trucks with the loft on the back of them, and the birds would trap back.
They were coming back that way.
Good. They would come back to that mobile truck and tag back in. And they said they'd put these big copper plates because they didn't really know. They were kind of shooting in the dark, and there was bases with loft,
What does it take? How long does it take from But from the time they hatch to the time they fly, what, 8 weeks?
Yeah, that's about it. Yeah, they're up
About
there.
8 weeks. So it takes 21 days to make a baby, and it takes 10 days to breed. Man, you could have them set up in 3 months.
And going. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, that's pretty practical. Any other animal, they ain't gonna be doing that in 3 months. It's gonna take 3 years just to get them out of diapers.
Oh man. Yeah.
Yeah.
I got the Racing Pigeon Digest, and they had an article on there about the Cup winning, and it's a race, and that boggles 600. I mean, me and you were what 200 miles apart, and I mean, a 200-mile race isn't even much to these guys. And for me, I'd be like, man, I'd be pretty nervous. They'd have to fly over some mountains and stuff like that. But it's incredible that these things can do this. That one big race up in Utah where they fly back to Arizona, they have to fly over the Grand Canyon. I just think that's wild. That's pretty cool.
I love those drone videos or the helicopter videos where they documented that Africa race.
Yeah.
What is it? The Queens something Falls, Victoria Falls.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. They're chasing that whole one loft race with the helicopter. It is so amazing.
Oh, that's cool. Yeah, they actually just a friend just sent me a link to a video about a documentary of pigeon racing actually in Arizona. Man,
yeah,
I can't
the
think
pigeon
of
people. I heard about that. And
yeah, that's it. Yeah,
to me.
Pigeon people. Yep. And it was funny because I was watching that and I was like, oh, I know that one guy there, man. That one guy. I can't pronounce his last name. His first name is Bob. He has the handlebar mustache. I ended up getting a pair of Van Loon racers from that guy. I mean, he had some incredible bloodlines. I mean, he had some birds brought over from Belgium and some really high quality birds he had over there. I'm looking forward to it whenever that comes out. I don't know if it's going to be a YouTube thing or Amazon or what, but yeah, I want to check that out when that comes out. That looks pretty cool.
Yeah, that's good. It's the underground pigeon racing community.
Oh man,
I was like, that's pretty dramatic.
Yeah, right. Yeah, the shady backwards of racing. Yeah, they opened it up pretty well there. $1 million pigeon, that was a pretty good one.
In Marana, Arizona.
That'll be a good one. $1 Million Pigeon, that was a good one for racing pigeon stuff. I like that. That was a pretty good documentary.
Oh yeah.
That was kind of hard to find. You pointed me in the right direction for that, but I mean, even in that one, they're heavy into the one loft stuff, and that just the different magazines I'm reading about it and stuff like that, you kind of slowly see it going to this one loft thing pretty heavy. But there is something kind of cool about when you read about the way the clubs do, they kind of have like a place they all get together, so that's cool. You get to get with all these other guys who are racing birds, hang
just
out
like
with them.
A horse racing track. Same thing.
Right? Yeah. Well, wasn't this supposed to be the poor man's horse racing is pigeon racing, and now they're selling birds for $2 million a piece?
Yeah. Well, yeah. And you don't even know if that bird's gonna make a winner ever again. That's what's so funny about it.
Mm-hmm.
It's won a bunch of races, so it's a damn good bird. But if you don't have the combination, you're not gonna open that door.
Yep. Yeah, I mean I know like China's definitely, and in the Philippines too, they're definitely blowing up with the pigeon racing stuff, and it's all one loft style. That's the way they're doing it.
Well, Philippines, they're pretty good at racing chickens.
Oh really? I didn't know that.
They go through a lot of chickens.
Okay.
That's probably not for this one, but yeah, they raise a lot of chickens. Good chickens, and they're
I saw a thing
too.
I saw a thing where they were doing the racing was getting so big over there that there would be guys set up on top of high areas, and they would attract the birds down by setting up these kind of ponds and pools and stuff, and then they would trap them. oh, hey man, I just trapped these really awesome bloodlined racers, and then go sell them on the black market. You know, and I mean, well, what about this too? I mean, guys here in the States, padlocks on their lofts. You know, well, you just spent $700 on this bird, and you're worried about someone coming in and stealing it. You know, that's crazy to me, man. I mean,
I have padlocks on my lofts.
do you? Okay.
Well, but it's more practical than where I got great big dogs for two-legged varmints, but the padlocks that keeps me from having accidents.
I see. Yeah.
Leaving a door open, that keeps me from doing that, because those doors, they drop down. If that hasp isn't fully closed,
yeah,
I might be missing 40 breeders.
Yeah.
And that could happen real easy. And man, I'd be ashamed to have to start all over.
Yeah.
I don't know. Mine are not so valuable to, that I think that somebody would steal them. I mean, I used to worry more about them walking off with other stuff, but if I paid $700 for a bird, it would live next to my nightstand.
Yeah.
That's just facts. I would.
What's that guy who has the who always, he was in that, they did a big spot on him in the $1 Million Pigeon, who's always winning. He's always got these really amazing birds. I remember when he was going through his loft, he was like, yeah, 30,000 for this one, 100,000 for this one. You always hear about oh man, the new record, someone spent $2 million on a bird, but it's like, this guy's got hundreds of birds and all of them are thousands of dollars a piece.
Yeah.
Just that aspect of it too. And there has been, people who've gone around and stole birds out of people's lofts and, flipped around and sold them, hey, this is a whatever. And, and anytime I guess you're bringing money and competition into it, the human element really can take over and change the dynamic of the thing. But, like I said, I do this, for enjoyment. I want to get my white birds up to do more white dove releases and stuff like that. But it's good for my kids to see and learn about, and I enjoy it. It's a lot of fun to, especially, I've said before, I like performing birds. I like the athletic ability of them and training them, playing the role of a trainer and a coach and taking on that role. I like that. It's enjoyable to me.
For sure.
Well, I don't know. I think we've said enough to upset a lot of different racer guys. They're probably swearing right now. Oh,
they're gonna neuter us after this one.
Right. Yeah. And I'll just say this as a final note here. Hey, we never claim to be the know-it-alls or professionals, man. We're just two guys who like pigeons and like talking about pigeons.
My disclaimer is that everything is simply it's simply chatter. We're learning too.
Absolutely.
And I'm happy to share anything that I can learn. I don't mind the feedback. If you know something more than me and you're willing to share, by God, I'm grateful.
Yep. Yeah, absolutely. That's interesting too, because a lot of guys, man, they all have different ways of doing things and it works for them. And it's always interesting to try something new because it might work for you too.
Yeah, this is more to me. These last few deals have just been more kind of airing out the different, what we like about this stuff and our kind of our take as newcomers.
Yep, that's right.
All of this information that people have shared with me, I appreciate all of it. And that's something, if we don't share, if we don't help people in this hobby, racing, rollers, shows, any of that, if we can't help each other out, it's gonna be pretty tough to want to be in that hobby.
Yep. Yeah. And that's it too. I mean, it's a, you know, I hate to say it, but you read it all the time that, that, this hobby's a dying hobby. And I don't think it's ever going to go away. It's been around for thousands and thousands of years. But I do think that there needs to be a good community feeling about it and sharing information and talking about it and, just being open with each other and helping each other out. That's all.
Yeah. I definitely agree.
And any hate mail I get, man, I'll just make sure to forward on over to Chris, and he'll handle it. And
that's Chris at JC'sMom.com.
There you go.
That's probably a thing, ain't it? I probably just had to pay royalties on that.
Right. Yeah.
Just kidding.
Well, man, I appreciate you, sharing some thoughts and some time with me on this one today, and look forward to talking with you again, Chris.
All right, buddy. Take care.
All right, I'll talk to you later. Bye.